Hello there. This video will be diving in and asking how hard is it to platinum Spider-Man 2. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And yes, of course, there are timestamps, because unlike some trophy hunting YouTubers, I respect and value your time. Anyways, looking at our grocery list of trophies, we have what I call Pokedex trophies, some story-related trophies, and trophies that are random things we have to do. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of lengthy intros, so just like Marvel's Spider-Man 2, let's get straight into the action.
Level 1!
The game kicks us off right into Sandman shenanigans in a really super cinematic fight with Miles and Peter against Sandman, which is honestly just a super complicated way to introduce base mechanics as well as a side quest for Marco Flint, which eventually leads to its own trophy. Just about every side quest in this game has its own trophy, but fortunately none of them are difficult, and the game's minimap pretty much shows you where everything is. And yes, the locations are timestamped in the description or on the video's play bar thingy, whichever one float your boat. So after ending Sandman, the game forces us into our first trophy by setting up one of the main villains, Kraven the Hunter, in the form of "You're gonna need help." As soon as the game becomes open world, it'll slowly introduce you to the side quests that reward trophies, like Miles' side quest of the Prowler stashes and Peter's side quest of the EMF experiments.
I think this is Pete's thing.
But as always, I find it easier to just work through the story and then go back for the collectibles. So after about 12 to 14 hours of story time with Spider-Man, you eventually earn the remaining 7 story trophies in the form of a new suit, another way, I quit, leave us alone, medicine, the great hunt, and then finally closing with heal the world. Also, can someone explain to me why this is a big reveal? My Spidey knowledge is limited to pretty much Marvel Snap interactions, so I have no idea who this is. With the story done, I thought it'd be easy to get straight into the side quests, which will ultimately help us clear the districts and make progress towards the second of the game's 2 gold trophies. The introduction to every side quest trophy is sprinkled throughout the main story, so most of these you'll have begun or at least unlocked. If you run into one that is locked, it's most likely the Flame side quest, which you have to unlock progressively by helping out the Fire Chief and then complete the quests in order. The other roadblock you might have is not every EMF experiment shows up, and once again that's because they are supposed to be done sequentially, as opposed to a clear this nest for exposition area, so in no particular order. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. These are a series of quests that are super straightforward and not at all difficult, from tracking one of the goodest boys to endorsing graffiti and honestly some really emotional gut punches in the form of dementia. It made me take a moment and think of some loved ones who are kind of on the older side, so I think you should kind of do the same. Make sure you reach out to an older friend or relative of yours. Just call them, ask them how their day was. It'll bring them so much joy, you have no idea. So after your phone call, there's yet another emotional gut punch with someone realizing they're, on their way out and want their family to be looked after when they pass, so help Howard out. No jokes here, life is too precious. This quest also acts as its own trophy for extra emphasis in the form of a new adventure. And then the last quest for the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is to walk down memory lane as Peter gets his first job with the Daily Bugle, complete with Mr. Jameson's snarky remarks. The next one is exclusive to Peter, and these are all the EMF experiments found around the city. All of the puzzles are once again super easy, except for the last one, which for some reason took me like 13 minutes and 2 phone-a-friends in order to figure it out. But fortunately, you get to see it for free. And speaking of free, you want to know what's not free? Your valuable time, so thank you so much for spending it here with me. Anyway, completing the EMF experiments not only net you an, interesting suit, it also gets you the foundational trophy. Moving down the list, the next side quest and what I assume to be the setup for the next game, Crimson Hour. This Peter exclusive side quest has him team up with Wraith to chase down a creepy cult obsessed with fire. Wraith ultimately becomes the boss fight of this mission, but it plot twists into being a train heist so that none other than Cletus Cassidy can become Carnage. Discovering this revelation will earn us the Crimson Hour trophy. Switching to Miles and his side quests, we have Cosigning, which I think is closure for Miles and his uncle, but these Prowler stashes double as giving us rare parts and XP. And none of them are particularly tricky to find, as the roof has a glowing purple outline that you can't really miss, but if you absolutely need a map of their locations, of course I got you. As far as completing them, just scan the area until you find the correct gathering of green particles, then manipulate the opening mechanism to the proper position or give it electricity, whichever it calls for. Doing all of these prowler stashes results in Miles' uncle getting home, so you might as well just do it. Plus, you get a trophy to boot, so that's pretty cool. Continuing with Miles, there's a trophy dedicated to school pride. Hooray. Completing a bunch of random things for the students makes them want to gift you a suit. But, more importantly, a trophy in the form of Brooklyn Pride. Following Miles' exclusivity, my community is all about working with Miles' mom and restoring stolen instruments to the museum. The missions themselves are fairly easy and never took me more than one try, so I know you'll do just fine. Unsurprisingly, the rich guy is behind the scheme, and once everything is restored, we get a nice mother-son moment followed by a beautiful trophy. The last character exclusive quest, and arguably the coolest, is Miles exclusive and has to do with Mysteriums and this game's version of challenges. You do not have to get the gold medal in order to get the trophy, thankfully, you just have to complete them. So don't fret and feel like you have to get gold on every single one. Just work through every challenge and eventually there's a actually pretty cool boss fight inside of a snow globe. Plus, there's even some decent character development at the end while we get the trophy of Behind the Masks.
So can I tell everyone Mysterio's a good guy now?
By far, the most annoying side quest and trophy to get is Spider Flight Simulator 2023, and it is abysmal. I'm not sure if it's just me being incompetent or getting confused by aerial controls, but I swear it would not turn when I want it to, and it would always adjust my vertical position anytime I exhaled. This was definitely a skill issue on my end, so it's still easy. I'm just a moron when it comes to flight-based mechanics. But, you know, the drone's secret target ends up being the Karmic Chameleon or something. I don't know, it's probably setting up a Spider-Man 3 villain. But once that's all said and done, you will finally earn the trophy of Data Collector. And speaking of annoying side quests, Seek and Destroy has you track down Hunter blinds to discover the locations of Hunter bases. Now, the exposition about these bases has to do with Kraven's family, which ultimately becomes pretty dark because the one pretty much just killed them all. But Kraven doesn't care about that, so neither will we. The difficulty of the bases are just like any other combat area, easy when in stealth, but if caught, much more enemies show up. Now there are ways to disable said reinforcements, but sometimes doing the stealth over and over just takes way too long, so it's easier to just combat your way through it. After clearing every base, you will earn the Seek and Destroy trophy. Continuing with annoying trophies, New York, New York turns Spider-Man into the local photographer, as you have to take a decent amount of pictures for Robbie so you can hear a backstory on the culture of New York City itself. And yes, I have a map for you, come on now. Taking the last photo immediately gets you the trophy, so there's no dumb last quest like some of the others. The next two side quests are both nests of either symbiotes or sandmanions, so for grains of sand, you just have to clear out the enemies then retrieve the crystal over and over again. They do not start as marked on your map, and it is pretty hard to miss a giant cloud of sand in New York City, but just in case, I have a map for you. Once you're done clearing them out, you can drop off the little statue at Marco's daughter's house, and then that will earn you the trophy Grain of Sand. Arguably the most challenging trophy is the Exterminator, which is a protect the point from symbiotes for a certain amount of time. If these nests are giving you issues, I would try using Peter since he has anti-venom abilities and ultimately does more damage to the enemies due to that. Otherwise, I just used the triangle button to grapple to whatever enemy was on the bomb itself. My main method was to use the yellow symbiotes as punching bags to fill up the focus meter, and then use the finishers on the purple symbiotes since they spawn those stupid exploder things, plus they also try to snipe you from afar. And then on the red symbiotes, they also have those crush moves, so I would try to use it on those too. But for the green symbiotes, I noticed that they always dodge the grapple, but for some reason insta-die to regular web shooter blasts, so once I discovered that, it became pretty easy actually. I'm not giving you a map of the locations because honestly, if you can't find 50-foot giant black tendrils spawning out of the ground with a giant beacon of red light, then frankly, I don't think you could find your own ass with both hands and the map, so I don't know how to help you. That said though, the last side quest related trophy, and let's be honest, probably the reason you're here, Spiderbot locations. Here's a map for you right up front because I respect your time, so pause now because I'm going to move on. If you still can't find which one you're missing, double check the map. And when you go to the location, listen for the bubble pinging and the metallic crawling sound coming out of your controller. There's 42 of these of course there's 42 of these bots, so it's really not that much of a chore, especially when you're like me and are coming off of getting over 2,000 Lego bricks. This was nothing. Oh, and at the end, you get a weird cutscene, which I'm sure means something to someone, so if said someone could fill me in on who this is, much appreciated.
Spider hero. We're all saved.
With 22 trophies down, we only have 20 more to go, and all of them are easier than clicking the subscribe button. Once every side quest is complete, you should have enough tokens and parts to go ahead and begin working on the upgrade trophies. This includes grabbing every suit tech upgrade for fully loaded and purchasing every upgrade for to the max. While completing every side quest, chances are you'll hit level 60 before you're even done, thereby granting you the amazing trophy. If you somehow have not, stopping the random crimes will enable you to earn XP, but you shouldn't have to rely on them. One thing I should note is that while playing the story and doing the side quest, if you see a tech part crate chilling on a roof, just grab it. One, because you need 10,000 of these things for the trophy, and two, because purchasing every suit requires a decent amount of tech parts. I did this trophy last, but that was because I wasn't sure how many tech parts I needed. I had a little under 3,000 when I started buying suits and ended with about 300 left over. So if you get the trophy of Resourceful from completing side quests and hunter blinds and things like that, then you should be fine when you go to upgrade everything. When the game initially gives you the option of a new suit, it's an easy button for the stylish trophy since the game forces it on you, so buying every single suit will reward you with the kitted out trophy. Another easy button trophy is Splat. The game shows you a way to do air tricks, but if you just eat shit, you get rewarded. Which is a nice reward, because normally when I eat shit in real life, I just get bad breath. The upgraded version of this trophy, Hang 10, was one of 2 trophies I had to actually use my brain for. I figured going to the highest point of the map and just jumping off and doing tricks would be enough, but I only got like 8. So at some point in the story when Venom takes over, I thought it'd be easy to give it a try since there's grabbable items pretty much everywhere. If you keep crashing into buildings, go to the Freedom Tower and just swing around in a circle, doing about, 3 to 5 tricks every time you swing up. It's easy to do, you just have to find the right spot that works for you to hang 10. And speaking of finding the right spot, Soar has Spider-Man glide from the financial district to Astoria. Here's the path I used. It's a pretty silly trophy with absolutely no payoff other than a trophy. If you're having trouble doing this flight path, just be patient and do it again. You'll get it. I believe in you.
Marco's memory crystal. Let's get it.
The next batch of trophies have to do with getting knockouts within a specified parameter. The easiest one is pretty much forced on you throughout the story. Once Peter gains the awesome anti-venom suit and is granted anti-venom abilities, Antidote requires you to knock out one symbiote while it is under the anti-venom effect. Another Peter-based trophy is Surge, and for this one you'll need to use symbiote abilities 25 times while under the effect of that L3 and R3 gauge. When you use this gauge throughout the story, just spam the abilities until you get it. I wouldn't bother keeping track. Yet another Peter-based trophy is Armed and Dangerous, and this requires you to do 100 takedowns with Spider arm abilities. Same thing as the previous trophy, just spam the abilities throughout the story. I would try to use them more to finish off the opponent as opposed to leading battles with, that way you actually get KOs with them. Switching to Miles' trophies, Evolved is his version of Armed and Dangerous, 100 takedowns with Venom-based abilities. Again, just make sure that you are ending the fights with them as opposed to leading with them, because for some reason humans can take an odd amount of damage. Sticking with Miles, the last combat trophy for him is Overdrive, which requires you to pull in 6 or more enemies with reverse flux, which I think the game forces on you because I got it right when I was introduced to the move. But in case you're having trouble, there's a sequence where you're in Peter's subconscious or something and you're in a raft prison break, and you can easily clear more than 6 here. The last of the batch with specified parameters is Slackline. Easily the most abusable mechanic in this game. The stealth is beyond easy. I came from Batman Arkham games where the stealth is way harder than this game, so being stealthy here was a breeze for me. The enemies pretty much never look up and conveniently have their hearing aids basically uninstalled whenever you rope-a-dope up from the web. Overall, you'll get this trophy without even trying, most likely. If somehow you haven't, Get good? I don't know what to tell you. The last in the easy category are 3 fairly tricky to find trophies. As either Spider-Man, you have to run the bases of the baseball field in Coney Island for a fun but ultimately pointless trophy.
The Spiders win! They got the series, the championship, the cup, the trophy, the whole enchilada with guac on the side. And Morales with 102 home runs in a single game? Put that man on a cereal box.
And then for the last 2, well, physically easy, but depending on your emotional empathy, difficult trophies. As Peter, you have to visit Aunt May's grave and pay your respects.
Parker Luck's back with a vengeance.
And then for Miles, there's a trophy on top of a building located here, where you have to pay respects to Finn.
Doing my best, Finn. Trying to make a city we both be proud of.
Now you'll notice there's only 2 trophies left, and one of those is a platinum. So, the only member of level 2 is Superior, which you'll get from 100%ing every district. Now the trophy itself isn't difficult, it's just a combination of having to do everything in order to get it, but you'll also kind of get this one unintentionally just as you're completing every side quest. The neat thing is that it doesn't really feel like you're 100%ing the game because there's so many little benchmarks throughout your journey that it just kind of feels natural. Unlike Lego Star Wars, that game felt like it took ages. That's because it did, especially compared to this game. My initial interest in earning the platinum for this game was because of this post right here, and for me it was actually pretty accurate. I imagine I would have done it quicker if I wasn't recording, so you definitely would be able to knock this out on a 3-day weekend. Speaking of, it's done and knocked out, and it joins our pyramid of games where, of course, frickin' Castle Crashers is still the most difficult game to platinum thus far. So I'm aiming to change that, because I'm tired of thinking about it. So, X Royale with 2 extra L's, I see you. And you know what? Elden Ring is in fact on PS5, so I expect you to comment when that video comes out. Lord knows how long it'll take me to platinum that sucker. So, until next time my friends, take care.